Welcome to Parent Solution, and today we have here with us Dr. Christopher Woolard. Welcome, Dr. Christopher.
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you, Filza.
Dr. Christopher Woolard is a clinical psychologist, author of many books, and he is also a faculty member at Harvard Medical School. So today he is going to talk about post-traumatic stress. So tell us what is post-traumatic stress actually?
Yeah, post-traumatic stress develops when we've experienced, or someone close to us even has experienced something that's life-threatening or threatening to bodily harm or something like that. So an act of violence, a car accident, some kind of abuse maybe in children or even in adults, a chronic illness, any of these things, car accident can lead to post-traumatic stress response. And that is because what happens is our bodies then go into, like if there's something dangerous happening, someone's attacking you, you want to go into fight or you want to go into flee and run away. And our body, the heart starts pounding and thoughts start racing and you just want to figure out how to get out of that situation or fight back. Another response might be hide, play dead, sort of wait for the attack to be over. That's called the freeze and faint response. And what happens those are great if you're trying to survive, but what happens is when you've experienced a traumatic event is that then those become more permanent ways of being. So people are then always going into fight at the drop of a hat or into flight in avoiding situations or just kind of freezing, avoiding, kind of becoming depressed in some ways. And those are then the symptoms long term of post-traumatic stress, which is about the nervous system not working right and the brain's alarm system basically going off at all the wrong times. Rather than going off when there's a real danger, it goes off when there's a perceived danger or something that reminds someone of the traumatic event. And of course, this can wreak havoc on someone's life because if you're a child and you go to school and someone or something reminds you of a traumatic situation, then fighting in school is not the answer. Fleeing and avoiding things is not the answer. Hiding in the back of the classroom is not the answer, right? We need to learn how to show up for things and learn how to have our brains see, oh, that teacher is not actually dangerous, or that other student is not going to hurt me, or the ride to school is not actually dangerous. And then we can think more clearly and learn more effectively and make friendships, and kids can do the things that they need to do. But what happens is that trauma actually rewires the brain and nervous system sometimes. So it interprets danger where there's not danger. And then it misses actual danger too. So people actually can get into actual other dangers. So that's a little bit of what post-traumatic stress is. And yet the good news is actually that most people who experience difficult or traumatic events in their life, they actually develop what's called post-traumatic growth, where they come through a situation stronger, like when or a child breaks a bone, falls down at the playground, break their wrist or something, the bone grows back stronger, right? And that's true for most of us after a difficult event. But for some people, if the bone isn't set properly, or if we don't deal with the psychological trauma correctly, right, it grows back weaker, or we have these other problems where it's harder then to use our arm or our wrist, and it's harder to think clearly and find happiness and regulate our emotions. So that's a little bit of kind of a short explanation of PTSD, which is of course pretty complicated.
So what I hear you saying is if early interventions or any interventions are not done, it can cause some long-lasting effect in our human life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But then if
So
it's not treated, it's like a wound that's not treated and can keep impacting people over the course of their lives.
what are the effects, long-term effects we can talk about if
Yeah,
PTSD is not addressed?
people can end up with more depression, with more anxiety, with anger issues, with a short temper, short fuse. People might also try to avoid situations that are triggering, so to speak, or they might blunt the impact of those triggers with alcohol and drugs and behaviors that are problematic so they don't feel
Okay.
those uncomfortable, unpleasant emotions into adulthood or something.
Okay, what are the interventions needed? What are the areas we need to address or how to come out of PTSD?
Yeah, what I really think is important for mental health around anything, but particularly for trauma, is addressing the body, the brain, and relationships. So finding ways to learn how to regulate our bodies, having healthy bodies, eating well, sleeping well, which can be disrupted by trauma, learning how to regulate our breath more effectively, kind of breathing in slowly, breathing out longer, slow and steady, like imagine you're breathing a cup of hot chocolate, or maybe chai right over there, right? Breathe in smelling, blowing out, cooling off. That really settles the body and nervous system. And then in the brain, it's learning how to take a little bit more perspective, maybe with mindfulness or with gratitude, kind of thinking through what's going well as what the problems are that we're facing so that we can see situations more realistically. So maybe at the end of the day with our kids, what are four things that went well? What's one or two challenges in the day so that we can start to rebalance seeing things accurately, not seeing everyone and everything as a danger. Oh, the teacher's terrible, they hate me. Oh, well, let's talk about a few things you do like about your teacher, a few things you do like about school. That shifts the mental filter out of always looking
Okay.
for the negative and danger. And then building healthy relationships with healthy people is also really important so that kids can take more perspective and think, talk to their friends, oh, that teacher's not so bad, or oh, that kid can be a little bit aggressive, but he's actually his, as we say, his bark is worse than his bite. Like, he's actually pretty nice when you get to know him. And that helps then take a little bit more perspective. And kids are then less likely to go into a fight response, a flight and avoid response, or kind of freeze and faint response, and be able to sort of show up for life and be able to learn more effectively and make the friends they need to make. So that's sort of a quick version of where we can address this. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what are the things you can tell us, like what are the main areas where people are unable to come out of PTSD? What are the main reason of not coming out of PTSD?
Yeah, and actually, when it comes to children, one of the things that we know is that the thing kids need more than anything, people often ask, like, what's the best tool for trauma for kids? What all the research says again and again is that what kids need more than anything is one consistent, caring, compassionate adult in their life who does what we call co-regulation with them. So if we as the adult can be consistent and predictable and calm, that's the best possible thing for a child
Okay.
with trauma. So they looked at kids who have experienced all kinds of childhood trauma or lived through the Blitz in England during the Great War 100 years ago. And the kids who came out from those traumatic experiences, not just surviving, but actually thriving, they all had in common one adult who was really there for them. We might call this an attachment figure. Maybe that's you as a parent, hopefully, or another grandparent, another wonderful person in that child's life, sometimes a teacher, right, who can really be there for them. And the more consistent we can be, the more well regulated and predictable we can be and make their lives, that's the best possible thing for that kid. But if life is still chaotic, if we respond one day with anger and another day with sadness and another day with frustration to the same behavior in the child, that's going to be very confusing for them. And of course, we'll
Okay.
do a little bit of that, but the more we can be consistent, the better. Yeah,
So our mental health and our mental stability is going to affect them and bring them out of their post-traumatic stress, right?
exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Give our viewers few tips to come deal with children dealing with PTSD or how to bring them out.
Absolutely. I think some of the best things that we can do are to try to take perspective, to not take it personally, right? Kids don't
Mhm.
wake up in the morning, I'm going to ruin, mom's day, or I'm going to ruin Phil's day, right? They wake up and they're doing, it's not personal. So the more we can not take it personally, the better. And then the more we're also able to stay calm, the more we can then come up with a solution. Let's breathe together. Let's take a walk together.
Mm.
What's underneath that behavior that you're showing me? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling angry? That we create that space for them to open up, and they're more likely to, and can feel that connection to us that's going to be most important for them in the long term. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing everything with us. I can just go on and on and on, but because we have to keep it short, and I want my viewers to reach out to Dr. Christopher Villard through his website, which I'll be putting in the description box. Thank you, Christopher Villard, for being here with us.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to see you. Be in touch.